Gosh, welcome back to TSC Talks, the podcast where we talk about tuberous sclerosis complex and other related issues such as intellectual and developmental disabilities and autism. My name is Jill Woodworth and I am your host. Today we are on part 3, wrapping up this 3-part series with the esteemed and respected, dedicated, devoted, dynamic Dena Hook, who is the VP at the TS Alliance of Support Services. And I'm not going into her entire resume and bio here because I've illustrated it over the course of the last 2, or not illustrated, but I've, I have elaborated upon her illustrious career over the course of her life. And myself and Lisa, my business partner and audio editor, were really both saying to each other, how in the world has this woman done all these things? She's incredible. And that's just really from the heart. So in this podcast, we kind of continue our conversation about various topics related to tuberous sclerosis and challenges that parents have, the importance of the community, Dena's own gratitude for her coworkers and the team that she gets to work with. Again, reiterating how important the community of volunteers is. She highlights some of the inspirational moments from across the timeline of her life, particularly her son with severe dyslexia, who definitely jump-started and inspired her advocacy career. So I'm not going to keep talking about that because I have a few other things to mention. First of all, I wanted to discuss my personal use of the logo that I've kind of adopted for TSC Talks, which is the image of, it looks like a painted image that is 2 people facing each other and talking, but well, whether they're talking or not, that's what I kind of took the image to be and went with it. I loved the way the different colors ran through the bodies, and it represented to me the connection that we're making here with our podcast and sharing our experiences, blah, blah, blah. But I failed to investigate the copyright aspects of this picture in my rush to get the podcast up and going and not thinking long term, as sometimes happens. And as I get ready to launch this crowdfunding campaign, I realized that I needed to find out who produced this beautiful piece of art and see if I can either use it or not get sued for using it, or take it down and use something else and give this guy credit. But I did my research and I found the artist's name is Jan Kebby. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. I reached out to him via email and he wrote back to me very quickly and said, yes, I could use it, not for commercial purposes, and that it had been utilized already in an article in the New York Times, which he needed to reach out to make sure that it was okay that I had used it. So I most likely am going to be changing the logo, but I did want to say how much I appreciate Jan Kebby and his artwork. I'm going to post a link in the show notes that are way behind. Sorry, guys. We will catch up with those, to his artwork, his Instagram page, because I feel that it's great. I don't know what I feel besides that. Also want to give a shout out to someone behind the scenes that I keep mentioning who works tirelessly, and if you're ever going to support this effort financially, think of her. And not knowing anything about TSC, spending full-time hours with her headphones on, really deeply editing a lot of these audio files. The way they come to you across the podcast is not how they come to Lisa when I pass off this very important and tedious responsibility to her, which she has taken off with, mastered, improved upon, and really makes us all sound good. So it's not perfect. Not that she's not perfect in her efforts, but the medium that I've used is not always perfect with a cell phone, and looking to improve that. But for the time being, I did want to say a special thanks to Lisa and to Jan, and there's so many others, but I did want to highlight those 2 people today. Also, stay tuned for our next episode with Caroline Clybourne, who is a licensed professional counselor. She has a daughter with tuberous sclerosis, and her work is inspired by not only her daughter, but her experience with trauma, medical trauma in particular, in parent caregivers, and how what's impacting our kids and adult kids and loved ones and us personally as affected individuals, how that impacts either parent caregivers, ourselves, or those around us. She's got a TAND webinar coming up, sponsored by the TS Alliance on June 25th, and I thought it would be a good idea to pregame with her prior to this episode or this webinar. So she is going to give us some pre-listening tips, I guess. I don't know what to call it. We talk about why it's important to tune into this webinar, what you can learn, and how it can help you. So I'm going to stop talking now and let Dena wrap up her last episode. As my audio editor said, we are pretty chatty in this. So if you don't want to listen to chatty and want to listen to the nuts and bolts of what we talked about, the first 2 episodes are probably your best bet, but I think the full package of 1, 2, 3 is ideal. So without further ado, take it away, Dena. Thanks again for tuning in, guys.
It's complicated, Dena. I think you know that. I'm sure you,
It is.
So
it is. And, and the majority of the time when we get calls, whether it's me or an education parent mentor, it's TAND. It's usually always going to be TAND.
Yep, of course.
Schools they don't know what to do with it. They truly don't understand it. So that was the reason for the TAND in Education publication.
Which is wonderful.
Thank you. I had written behaviors in TSC thinking that would work, but I needed to write something very specifically for educators. And I remember when I sent it to Dr. Gibson, I said, now be kind and understand that I have written it for educators, and you have to write so that they understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I said, there are going to be some areas that are repeated, because it's my experience that usually educators, understandably, are very busy. They're only going to go where it applies to them. They're not going to read the whole thing.
Right.
They're just going to go to that section.
Skim it. Yep.
Yeah. They're going to skim it. So she was wonderful. I don't know if you read her intro letter, but she cracks me up. It was amazing. I mean, she just says, when the parent comes in and says it, this is part of TS, it's part of TS.
You know what? I didn't read it because I skimmed right past that and went to the meat, but I'll go back and I will read it. I will read it. I am completely, I think as a parent that has, my life revolves around TAND in a lot of ways right now.
Oh yeah.
And it's not behaviors necessarily. It's the fallout from a kid that had TAND not getting the attention he needed till it was it's never too late, and he'll be fine. But, I got a kid who didn't graduate from high school, is sitting home until his program starts in the summer, and putting programs in just eligible for DDS, but all this falls on the parent. And the parent's always doing everything. And anyways, so I'm like, when doctors, I just am so, I think, triggered in some ways that they are going to tell me, prescribe a med, or, they just don't know. I just don't feel confident that doctors know that much about the whole situation. But I've heard that she is wonderful. So I'd love to have her on the podcast. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, she is amazing.
But she admitted she doesn't know. I think when I was in DC, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to her because she's saying, we don't know.
We don't. And that's the whole purpose of this new TANDem thing, grant. And I'm excited about it. I think that's the direction we have to go. We have to get that data. We have to make sure, and we have to start doing some consensus guidelines. But like I said, back in 2012, we just needed to get the doctors to recognize that this is in fact a manifestation of the TS, which was the whole purpose of the umbrella. It just to get and that visual was really important.
I know. Oh my goodness. It really is like, and whenever I think I understand it on some level, I meet somebody that's dealing with something else. It's just some mental health issues escalated by wherever the tumors are in the brain, and we haven't figured it that whole.
No, that brain is so complicated. Complicated. So,
listening in, it seems like everything, like there's so many bases covered. So much is happening. I was really impressed.
Yes, and Steve, I can't say enough about Steve Roper's, Dr. Steve Roper's. He is amazing. And Dean coming on board has just taken us to this next level. And Steve and Corey together are a duo that they can conquer anything. It's exciting where the medical and science department is headed, and it's just really exciting to see where the organization was and where it is and where it's going. So who knows where it's going to be 10 years from now. And our kids, and they're all my kids, are going to have such better futures and better quality of life because of the research and where we're going back. And a mouse model for TAND.
I know.
Think about that.
Oh my goodness.
How cool is that? How cool is that? It is exciting, and Beatrice is excited. Dr. Beatrice, did you sit in on any of his?
I did.
Isn't he amazing?
Yeah, he's great. He brought so much, like I remember finding him on YouTube and being like, okay, this makes sense. My whole kid's life. Yep.
He is amazing, and he actually is the one that came up with TAND. He's the one that came. He said we need something short and sweet that we can say that encompasses everything that we're trying. And he came up with the whole TAND initiative thing for the checklist. So he's hilarious. I remember we did a lot of interactions with him, and I've been over to England a couple of times and actually stayed at his house. And
really,
he's in South Africa now, but he's just an amazing person. And my husband, I don't know, he wrote this paper, and I gave it to my husband, and I said, "Read this." And he reads it, and he said, "I don't understand any of this." I said, "Look who the author is," and he said, "Our Beatrice wrote this." Because he's so approachable and so down to earth, and when he talks to you, it's like nobody else exists. He's
really
talking directly. He's just amazing. And he really has led the whole TAND, making sure that that's not forgotten, and he pushed to have it as an individual manifestation, which was great.
That's tough because you're going against a lot of years of resistance to that mental health piece. And
it was almost like an afterthought. We still hear doctors saying it's not part of TS.
I can't tell you. I mean, how many people just, it's not that they don't, it just seems, anything new like that takes time.
Yeah.
But I think it's great to have that. And in the book, that education guide, let me tell you, I've sent that to a lot of people, and people are really, really impressed by it. And for instance, hitting the adult population, I will in different states, these day programs, there's so many people there besides just TSC people that it can help, because I think it speaks to any kind of dysregulated neurological condition. So, I think presenting it, whenever I send it, I'm like, hey, this is what happens with my child, but I think your population here you might get something useful, and people see more.
Absolutely. That's great. But that makes me feel good.
Yeah, you should. And I'm not letting you go yet.
Yeah, okay. Well, you write all of these because all of the education publication, and actually even the videos on the education page. Yes. I did those. Remember those old video cameras that would plug into your computer, the little ones, I bought one of those, and actually I did it. Yeah. Well, I'm in the shower, and I'm like, what can I do? I wonder if we could just do a video. And then and I talked to Jane, and I said, if I do these short 2-3 minute videos, can you download that? Yeah, I can download it. And I'm like, okay. That was before we did professional videos that we're doing now.
Well, whatever you can. That's like TSC Talks. Whatever you can do to get it out there.
Exactly. So, and